From the interfunds. You can just- Some of these line items have had no activity for a very long time, and we took the money and put it where the money's going to be spent this fiscal year. And then as we see that line items are going to be used, we can add money to that fiscal year, or to that line item as needed.
I have a question. I don't know if you guys already went through this or not. I don't know if it'd be part of this or not. I remember from the town meeting, the mayor said that we are losing, on the solar fields, we were losing, is it $1,300, what was it? A year? Are we gonna budget for that?
For what?
The part that we're losing out of?
The difference in the arbitration.
Yeah, the difference, are you gonna do that? I didn't know if you'd already done that or not.
Arbitration, I think it's built in there, the difference between the,
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the slide on the electric expense. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, okay. I wanted to make-
Yes,
I
that's
didn't know
not
if you
part
went
of
through
this.
that.
That's,
Because you were taking money and putting it.
yeah, no,
transferring
that
from-
solar field is basically that money in your capital fund was basically money that was set aside to construct or to build or to plan your solar fields. It doesn't have anything to do with your electrical.
When we
Expenses.
was talking about the transfers and stuff like that, I didn't know if you had done that before I got here or not.
Okay,
So
no.
I did-
This would have been helpful.
Just overlook me. I'm trying to catch up.
You're fine.
That's okay. And we'll go over the electric account at the very end, because that affects all the funds and several of the departments. So we did make an extra slide for that one, too. So that's your capital fund. We're going to move on to the water fund then. Fund 4. The water fund, the detail of it starts on page 24 of your notebook.
What page?
2-4?
24?
There we go. Yep.
Okay. And first, we'll look at the revenues on that page. Last year, the budgeted amount was $555,510. This year, we're budgeting a lower amount of $510,000. The biggest reason for that is people are just consuming less water within town. A couple of our larger customers here in town have, I guess they've had a plan to try to use less water. So this is based on the trends that we've had the last few years. As you can see, the revenues there have kind of been static since fiscal year 15, and we do anticipate it to go. Our budget, we do have it as lower than the prior year. A lot of the other categories are very similar, but overall consumption is down for the town overall. So we do have a lower amount for the revenues there. Within the expenses, some of the expense items within the water fund. Again, we have salary and wages. Those are slightly higher as far as the allocated amounts to that department. One of the things we wanted to highlight is the computer expense, which is about twice as high as it was the prior year. Last year it was $6,000. This year we have it budgeted at $12,645, and on the slide we have a breakdown of some of the items that make up, or all the items that make up that amount.
The big item would be approximately $5,000 for new software at the water plant. The water plant, the software at the plant that runs basically the system, not just your internet and things like that. The software that actually runs the system, calculates, looks at your chemicals, looks at your flows, everything. It is very outdated, and they're experiencing a lot of problems with it, and had to have some techs up there looking at it. The recommendation from the techs is they don't even make this software anymore that we have, so it's looking for a new software that will work with our system. And they're estimating about $5,000 for that new software.
I want to make sure I heard you correctly. This is for the water plant on
water
the mountain, not
plants.
wastewater. Okay,
Yes,
very
correct.
good. Okay.
Makes up that majority of that, you know, if it's a $6,000 increase, 5,000 of it is for that new software.
So here's the other question. Interface between the Sonic device and the wastewater treatment plant, is there any need for interface between them?
No.
None? Okay, great.
I can't remember how long the new water plant has been operating. Do you have an idea?
The new water plant?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. That's been a very long time.
Do you remember?
Say 13 or more.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's why I was wondering why the software was outdated. I couldn't remember how long.
13 years.
I remember the old plant stopped
been a long
working
time.
the day we started the new plant.
Yeah. It was new
You know, with
before I got here.
software and technology, its shelf life is not,
So, do you think in the future we need to maybe have a budget line item for upgrading of software for these plants? We
well, your
have,
wastewater treatment plant is new. So our software is good there. This is the plan to update that one.
or maybe next year we may wanna start putting a line item in for updating future, for both plants.
Oh, okay, I
Keep
see
it
what
in
you, I
maybe one
understand.
line item for both plants for upgrades for their software.
Okay.
Cause you know it's gonna have to be done sooner or later.
And this is 100-year equipment, so do we know what the shelf life of the equipment is up there? I mean, that might be something worth consideration also for
Equipment,
budgeting.
there's some budget items, as we go through the budget items, there are some equipment up there at both plants that are gonna need replaced, and we have a plan,
Okay,
for those as well.
great.
Can you highlight the savings from not having to flush the water filtration system and from our new,
Not yet, I guess.
Not yet. It's only been in operation. We're gonna bring, I think Commissioner, you're talking about the algae control system?
Yeah.
Yeah, all I can tell you is talking to Mr. Fissel, he's very happy with what he sees right now. You know, it went up on, I believe, April 11th, so it's only been in full operation about a month. We're hoping to bring you something in about July, at least a little update on it, but he's very pleased with what he sees so far.
I mean, the algae counts must have be way down.
We
And
hope.
this hot
Yeah,
weather's
the
coming
turbidity was
Wednesday.
down. I know he's having to run his filters a little less. This rain hasn't helped because it did stir up your lake.
Sediment, sure.
One item I'd like to point out is line item 5308, insurance, liability, and property. Last year, the budgeted amount was 9395. This year's budgeted amount is 6100. We have a slide at the very end also. The insurance is allocated over different departments also, and you'll see, I should have pointed out earlier, a lot of the insurance line items are down in each of the departments, and I'll go over that also, but that we have some savings there also. Another one we wanted to point out is contractual underwater. This year, we have a budget of $33,060, and I'll let Ms. Willets kind of discuss that. That is up over last year under contractual.
Right. Your big part of your contractual in water is obviously your algae control. It's a $13,000 yearly service agreement, and that gets you your monitoring and your service of the equipment. And if you recall, we projected at least a savings. We're hoping at least a savings of about 19,000 over the course of overtime and chemicals and water loss. The other part would be the leak detection. We have a contractor, he's coming in May 22nd, and what the leak detection specialist does is he will listen to all our lines and can pinpoint where our leaks are. So that's twofold. We can repair leaks on our own time and hopefully save water and I&I and reduce the cost of overtime for these emergency water line breaks. Just recently, the one on Stonehurst Court, they had 8 hours of overtime on a Friday night till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And this, we believe this leak detection specialist is gonna be very helpful with repairing our lines and saving money in the long run, reducing the I&I, reducing the water loss.
Do you know how they pinpoint it?
He's got,
He sends a little parachute through the water system?
no, he's got,
Ultrasonic,
yes,
Sonar type?
like,
sonar.
Yeah, and he listens with
Yeah,
headphones
that's how we
and
do, that's
the
how we do ours down there. I
vibrations
was
and-
wondering how they did it, if they did
and
it the same way.
things like that.
Yeah, the down
Okay,
where I
that
work
helps.
at, they send a 3,000-foot line through the wire where they put a little parachute on end of it, and the current
Yeah,
takes
he-
it through, and then they listen for pings and.
In
they
speaking
tell
with
you exactly
Middletown,
what-
yeah, they've, every time he's marked the line, they've found a leak.
Yep, they're usually correct.
Right, and
I
each
deal with
year,
them all
the
the
number of
time.
leaks get less and less because he finds them, and we can repair them.
So, Mr. Sweeney, all kidding aside, you're comfortable with the technology and its use?
Yes, I've dealt with it for the last 20 years. It's
Yes.
been, I know Howard County and Montgomery County use it a lot.
And Middletown highly recommended it. I spoke to them,
Great.
and they actually referred this company to
It
us.
saves a lot of money in the long run because you can fix the brakes before they actually come.
That's
Right, what you have to think
clutch.
about is your water and sewer. You know, this is how they liken to it in Middletown. That's your cash register.
Yeah.
Well,
You've
this-
got to take care of your infrastructure.
Will this be, I'm sorry, I don't mean to get too technical. Will this run from the water treatment plant down the
All
water
your
line
lines.
into town?
All your lines, yes.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, they do them all, you
Get
know.
rid of those wooden pipes.
There's some, yes.
Cast iron.
Yeah.
A couple more line items I'd like to point out underwater is on page 25. The operating supplies, which is up from last year. There's a total budgeted amount of 50,500, which is up, obviously up from last year.
One of the things that you'll see, we did add a little bit of money to the lines and piping based off of this leak detection specialist coming in, that knowing that we do have some stuff stocked, but we might have to buy some other things. So we increased that to 1,500. In there is also your 12,500 paid to Mount St. Mary's for water that we received from them. The big item here is your 25,000 to replace your old water meters in town. Out of all the water meters in town, about 3 of them are your older water meters that don't read accurately. So as your water meter ages, they read slower. So you're not billing accurately. You're not
As accurately.
you're not billing as accurately as you could be. You don't have an accurate idea of the water that's coming from the plant to the town. So this, again, is a 3-year plan to replace 100 meters each year. And we estimate needing 25,000 to replace those meters.
The majority of the towns also already.
Are
been
you talking
replaced.
Yeah,
about?
the majority of the town has already been replaced. That's what I said. There was only 300 old meters left in
I
town.
was gonna say, I
Yes.
know my house has a little black box on the house. That's a new one.
We're billing you correctly for your water
Oh,
bills.
Yes.
Yes.
Or it's the MSA.
Yeah, they have they're probably in regular main town, probably the old meters. None of the
I don't know.
new-
I'm not sure
None
where.
of the new developments
where in
should have the
town.
old meters.
And just going back to the slide that Mr. Tabler showed you, is that your water revenue has consistently dropped over the past, since your rates have stayed the same. Your water rates have stayed the same since 2009, and you've showed a loss since 2011, with the exception of 2014, when you received $475,000 in tap fees, and that was from the Seton Square. No, not Seton Square. The village.
yeah.
Yeah, the apartments over there. So the new water meters help accurately bill.
That's
Is that a better
phenomenal.
way of putting it?
Sounds good.
One thing for consideration, just again as a management piece, maybe I would suggest something is mentioned in the water bill that new meters will be coming online, and therefore homeowners might be advised that their water bill might be significantly different.
It,
Right.
it shouldn't be significantly different. It should be slightly different.
Yeah.
Just my fear is that and there are people who are on fixed budgets, and just any forewarning is a good forewarning. I guess that's what I mean. Even a $10 difference or a $5 difference to someone might be a difference that's profound. So
And they're notified when we change their meter. They're notified that we're changing the
okay,
meter.
well, sure,
And it's-
sure.
And so I just want to make sure they are notified ahead of time that that's that they are getting a new meter. So
Sure.
that's not a surprise on that end of things.
Again, but it just, the more people who are aware of it through the water billing system, the better off we are as a collective. Does that
Well,
make sense?
and I'll give you,
Sorry.
also, staff is working on a water bill or an insert for the water and sewer bills, updating everybody on responsibilities, who's responsible for what portion of your water bill. And so we can certainly add that. If you are going to be receiving a new meter, you may see a slight increase in your
Yeah.
bill.
Perfect.
So we can certainly do that as
Yeah.
part of our insert. And we're hoping to bring that out at the end of June.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Next line item we want to point out is the account 6150 for chemicals. This account is actually going down from last year's budget. Last year's budget was 42,500. This year it's 29,700.
The reduction in the chemicals is predominantly because of your algae control system. One of the big items is we will no longer be needing the use of Green Clean Pro, which is $10,000 each year. We estimated a little high on the chemicals because we don't know exactly what the system will do, but we still have a significant reduction.
Okay.
Thank-
Another line item is repairs and maintenance, 48,000, account number 6200. Breakdown of the 48,000 is listed on this slide also.
The only thing I'll point out is, in there is $10,000 for lines and piping. Again, your infrastructure, we're gonna slowly try to take care of your water lines. And, this is in direct correlation of, hopefully finding these leaks and repairing them before they become bigger. At your wastewater treatment, or at your water plant, you asked about infrastructure that may need to be replaced. Staff recommends replacing 2 new chlorinators. And that's estimated at 7,000, is that correct? What line is it? Purple, 7,000, yes. And then you also need what they call socks for your DE filters, and they're 3,500. Your 14,500 for your storage tank is a yearly maintenance agreement that we've had for years on the storage tank there. Those are your, and then you got 4,000 for your wells. And this is all off of staff. Your new, your water and sewer, your new lead operator that we just recently hired, this is one of the tasks that he has. He spent a lot of time establishing what they actually need to maintain the plant, the water plant and the wastewater treatment plant. So we have a very accurate idea this year for our budget.
Next line item we want to point out is account 8001 depreciation. One of the concepts we wanted to talk about tonight, we book depreciation under Fund 4 and Fund 5, the water fund and the sewer fund. In discussions with the town manager and the mayor, we want to, with depreciation, we wanted to recognize depreciation as part of the audited fiscal year financial statements, but not as part of the budgeting process. The reason that we would look to do that and recommend that is that depreciation is a non-cash item. The audited statements would show, we would book depreciation on our audited statements, and it would show a non-cash loss. In prior budgets also, we didn't recognize additional revenues that we would receive related to the construction of the wastewater treatment plant, and also the resulting net buildup of fund equity. And then last, we did speak with the auditors. I think we had mentioned this at a prior town meeting a while back about not including it as part of the budget discussions because it's a non-cash item, and it's an accounting item on paper, and we've reached out to other municipalities on doing the practice also. So,
To understand your fourth bullet point, I understand the notion of additional revenues, but I need some clarification on the net buildup of fund equity. Are we saying that because we have additional revenues, we are now building up the fund?
Well, in the prior years, and the amount that we received as far as revenue was quite extensive, and this is more for the sewer part of things when we were building the wastewater treatment plant. Give me a second here, and I'll
Sure.
pull that information.
I mean, I'm looking more
Yeah.
concept. I don't need hard
Yeah,
numbers. I just
sure.
need the concept idea.
Sure. When we received, because Fund 4 and Fund 5 are business type funds, when we received when we see, I guess a way of putting it in layman's terms is when we received assistance from the federal government and the state government for building the wastewater treatment plant, as those monies came in, we booked those as revenues.
Okay.
So the couple years that we were building the wastewater treatment plant, we were receiving all these additional funds that we were booking as revenues.
Okay.
Because those revenues far outweighed the current year expense for sewer, that built up your net equity.
Okay.
This
So,
is the,
just to hold you there, so what we're saying, if I understand correctly, is outside sources funded the construction of these items, and therefore the money we had budgeted to pay for these items, we've held in reserve? Is that akin to what you're saying?
well, we've not, in prior years, we didn't have that as part of our budget discussions as far as the additional revenues. Now we're seeing the flip side of things where on accounting wise, we recognize the depreciation over the life of the asset.
Okay.
So there's additional, because we have a new wastewater treatment plant, theoretically, well, on the audited statements, we'll have to increase our depreciation that we book. That additional depreciation will slightly decrease the net equity that we've built up within the sewer fund.
Okay.
In accounting terms, that's as best I can explain it.
Okay. I'll come back to this. All right. I think we're good to launch.
Okay. So, looking at the water and revenues and expenses, total expenses, total revenues for fiscal year 18 proposed budget is $510,000. Total budgeted expenses of $529,443. A net fund income loss of $19,443. We were conservative on the amount of revenues we'd receive, and we were conservative on the expense side of things too, as far as what we would incur. So that's Fund 4 water. If there's no further questions, I'll move on to Fund 5, the sewer.
I'll note though, just real quick, you've shown a loss in water in 2011, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So this isn't anything new. This is actually a much smaller loss than you've experienced in the prior years. And it goes back to you're not getting the water revenue,
So,
Okay.
except for the 1 year when we got $475,000 in taps, which would be wonderful.
Sure.
when there's new construction and we get tap fees, it helps
Yes.
everywhere.
Sure, absolutely.
So moving on to the sewer fund. On page 27, looking at the revenues. And here's a historic line graph of revenues within the sewer fund. You can see the big spike there, and I believe in fiscal year 14 where we got additional tap fees, and also this shows where the money had come in to build the wastewater treatment plant. You can see we typically run about $1 million, but in those fiscal years, the 1 year we were over $7 million, and I believe the other year we were probably a little over $4 million as far as actual revenues. And like I was talking about earlier, those weren't part of the budget discussions then. Sure. We're seeing the flip side with the depreciation. To look at the individual line items for sewer, for utility charges, we have that estimated lower. Last year we have it 980,000. This year this coming year we're estimating at 910,000. One line item I want to point out for fiscal year 18 budget is under account 4,500 miscellaneous revenue. The 80,000 that's on that line item is the budgeted amount for the residual fertilizer storage agreement. So with that included in our revenues, our budgeted revenues are a little over $1 million for our sewer fund. So that's
Can I ask a question?
sure.
Unexpected sewer and water hookups for new buildings and stuff are not added in with this, they'll just, when we get those in, will they,
Right, so you're asking about the new Seton Center?
yes.
Yes, we anticipate getting tap fees from the Seton Center. We don't know how many, we don't know when, so we did not include that in the
Right.
budget because we didn't have an accurate amount. That
I
will
was just wondering where
be-
that went to when we got it. Just-
Well, when we get it, that will go into your water and sewer revenue.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll see a spike like
Yeah,
we
little
saw
spike on
there.
I was wondering, because
Not big.
any new building,
Not as big, but
not big,
yeah,
but
yeah. And it's not.
hopefully we get some more new buildings.
Right.
Right, and we didn't budget it because it's not final.
Correct.
So
Sure, sure.
We
I
want
just
to be
wondered, I
conservative
didn't know
there.
where you put it at when you got it in case, things pop up here you don't know about.
Certainly. Some of the line items we want to point out as far as expenses. Hold on a second. Okay. Some of the line items as far as expenses is computer of $5,900. You can see a breakdown there. We sat down with the supervisors and went over what they may need, anticipate for the coming year for
Right,
computer.
so for your computers and sewer, it's only a $900 increase, and part of that is, some internet service. We had to change, some internet service up at the, newer side of the plant. And also a hotspot for the laptop so we can start marking the water and sewer lines when they go out and do repairs. So when Mr. Fissel or Mr. Click are sitting and making a repair, they can input the information right there and it can be captured. And so that's the slight increase in your computer. The one thing that I'll point out before you get there, Cole, is your legal fees. We added up to 3,000. The pipe issue at the wastewater treatment plant has not gone away. And so we increased our legal fees slightly.
Really?
Unfortunately, we were just notified. So we added some additional money in the legal fees as a just in case. I don't expect to need it, but it was more of a just in case. And if you guys want an update on that, we can also add that to admin business at a future meeting as well.
Sure, that would be advisable.
Moving on to account 5505 contractual, we have last year's budget for that was $45,950. This year it is $34,760, and that's a breakdown of the contractual for the sewer.
Right, it's pretty the $16,000 is contractuals, basically all the lab fees. It's the sending out the samples, for the lab. 10,000 for sludge removal. That is from our plant. Our sludge gets removed and goes to a landfill in Pennsylvania. That's the fee for that. Vibration analysis is at the pump station.
There's no reuse of the sludge, the dried content is?
No, that goes straight to the landfill.
Okay,
Ours does, because it's human.
yep.
Another line item I want to point out that's on a slide at the very end that we're getting close to. Under electric, 5522 under sewer. Last year's budgeted amount was 98,784. This year it's 76,000. So based on the allocation, we anticipate much lower. Within this department, we anticipate a lower expense, but I'll go over the slide at the very end that shows you the comparison with all the departments and everything across the board as far as the electric expense. Next line item that we'd like to point out is the operating supplies. Last year it was 11,400. This year it's 10,200. Want to talk about that, Kathy?
That one's pretty much the same as it's been each year, that's just a breakdown of where the money goes in your operating supplies. The biggest split is between general and your lab.
Next line item to point out is 6150 chemicals. We sat down with Mr. Fissel, and Kathy can explain the
Right.
chemicals. I know that's mostly to do with the new treatment plant.
Right. If you look, if we look historically, the audited for 2016, the chemicals were, we spent 44,000 in chemicals. Last year, however, there was only a budget of 21,000 for chemicals. That was not realistic this year. For this budget, we had our staff sit down and figure out exactly how much money is spent in chemicals at that plant. And because of the new plant, this is what they estimate to spend this year. You'll see it goes through the chemicals for the 500 for the lagoons, 16,500 for alum, 3,500 at the, oops, I jumped my line items here. Chemicals. 10,000 on caustic, 16,500 for methanol, 3,500 for chlorine, 4,500 for polymer, and 500 for general. And that's what makes up your chemical expense to treat at the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay. Moving on, the next one we want to show is the repairs and maintenance, account 6,200. Last year's budget was 30,300. This year it's 24,500. Which you can see most of the repairs and maintenance, and was probably the same case last year, have to do with the wastewater treatment plant. But this just gives you an outline of all the categories within that line item that we try to address in the budget. So, okay. Another line item I want to point out, and a couple things here, is account 7008. It's the loan interest for our USDA wastewater treatment plant loan. That amount's coming right from their schedule. And what I'll do is I'll put a summary together of all the loans we have and how they're affected here on the budget, so you can see how they, just a list for you to see and what they're for. So kind of give you an outline of what these individual line items are, give you a better idea of what they're for. I'll put that together for the next meeting and get that to you ahead of time. So, but that is new because of the, obviously the new loan that we had associated with the wastewater treatment plant. Bottom line for the sewer plant, revenues are expected to be $1,500,000. Total expenses $659,399 for net fund income of $341,101. Okay, and let me go to the next one.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's vacation?
Yeah, water and sewage gets a vacation. I need a vacation.
Sure. For Fund 4 and Fund 5, because they're business type accounts, we go through a process of the folks that are in those home departments. We have to determine the accrued vacation folks would be paid out if they were to leave on the last day of the year. So,
Oh, okay.
so if your home department is Department 40 for water or Department 50 for sewer, you have, we estimate what their accrual would be at the end of the year, and you have to accrue that on the books as part of your audited statements.
So you are paying them for their vacation that they're owed, or make sure it's covered?
Right. This is where we accrue for it each year as we go, then if they were to leave, it had already been accrued in
Is that
prior
what- Is
years.
that what they have is that what they don't use per year?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
how much are they allowed to, I don't know if I can guess this now, how much are they allowed to hold back?
Right now, you don't have a limit on your current employees. Last year, I believe we passed in the handbook, and I don't have the handbook in front of me, any new hires as of, I believe it was, I can't remember the date, they can only accrue up to a certain amount. Right now, your current staff can accrue unlimited, and that is something that I believe I have mentioned that the mayor had looked into buying out in stages people's accrued vacation leave so that you are not hit with a large expense when somebody does retire that's been here 25 or 30 years.
So,
I was just thinking, I'm only allowed, where I work at, we're only allowed to keep a week left over. You have to, and other than that, you have to take it at the end of the year. They pay
Right.
you for it completely.
Right.
Standard.
We've talked to HR and different recommendations. Her recommendations, I believe, was 300 hours is max. The county, I know when I left the county, the max was 240 hours of what you could carry. So there's different things to look at. The problem that you have right now is you have to buy it out, because when you hired them, this is what they were hired under. So it's how can you achieve that goal? So we started with new hires, and then we'll just have to have discussions on the best way to move forward.
Okay, so we're just covering the buyout.
Correct. That's your covering your buyout for anybody under water and sewer.
Who would retire?
Right.
Okay.
okay. So here's a chart at the fiscal year 2009 to current, comparing revenues and expenses. Gives you a visual of the prior history we've had within the sewer account. Ms. Willis, you want to talk about some of the infrastructure projects?
Okay, some of the things that we're looking, you have your CIP fund and your general fund, so all the funds that you need, or all the projects you want to take care of out of your general fund, the things we discussed earlier. In talking with staff, your infrastructure is your most important item as far as, if your infrastructure is not solid, you're not going to bring any water or sewer revenue in. So these are some things that we are looking to do. Thank you, I can't.
That's the same one.
Some projects and some phases of some projects. So you have a mountain water line. You have an 8-inch line that comes down off the mountain. In places, it's sitting right on top of the surface. On places, it's sitting right in the creek. You can't get to it. It's in very bad condition. They are spending a lot of time repairing it. It only services 4 houses. So the plan would be to drill wells for those 4 houses and take them off the town water and sewer, or town water, excuse me. I know it's been done in the past. Staff estimates that the cost of that is $30,000. We estimate that will certainly, we'll see savings in that because of the time spent repairing the line, the water loss that we are losing from that line, and the I&I that's coming in that line as well. The second phase of that line would be tying the mount into the 8-inch line, and that's $15,000. So the first year phase would be $30,000. The second phase would be $15,000.
Where's the 8-inch line one to the mount
What,
at? Annandale Road?
yes. Yes.
I thought that was 6-inch all the way out that way.
They want to tie it into the 8-inch. And exactly where that is, I can't tell you off the top of my head.
So the 8-inch line is the mounts line.
Yes,
Okay, so
So
ours
we're not
is,
tied in?
we are. They want to make a separate connection. So I guess it's the 8-inch line that they want to do away with is what's currently tied into the mount. So if
Okay,
I
they wanna-
understand staff correctly, and I'm trying to get up to speed on all the water lines, they want to tie it into a separate 8-inch line.
So they just want to put tap, sleeve, and valve and hook it up?
Correct.
Okay.
So that's one project. The second project is this is a priority project, is to rip wrap Rainbow Lake. There's erosion in numerous areas of the lake. That is a 3-year project as well. We're estimating about $10,000 each year. We can do it in sections. There's one section of the lake that is in dire need, that we will probably have to make that repair this year. We are currently getting some bids on that. And then, a sewer line repair. These two, sections of the sewer line, town staff spends considerable amount of time repairing these two lines. They are in bad condition. The first one, the priority one, would be 910 linear feet on Irishtown Road. That's estimated to be about 36,000. And then there's 1,400 linear feet on South Seaton Avenue, and that's estimated to be 63,000. Those are your two sewer line repairs that are priority.
Where the 1,400 feet, is that in the creek? Is that in the,
No, it's right out here.
I thought with the new sidewalks, we got all new sewer lines, no?
No, not down here, not on South Seaton.
I'm trying to think, 14, what kind of, you want to replace the whole line?
Yes.
Can they?
1,400 feet would be all new.
um,
And then the 910 feet would be all new. I don't have the particulars on the exact repair. These are just projects that we would like to consider this year.
I'm trying to think can you repair those lines with the pipes in there by putting, they have new technology now that you can put new, you can reline, not reline, but it's sort of like relining, but you can put a new pipe inside of the other pipe.
I don't know what staff has proposed. These would all be contracted. We would contract to
Right,
have
this
this
is
work done.
contractor
Yeah,
does it.
yes.
Yeah, it also, it hooks, it puts a
Right.
new plastic pipe through the old one, and you
Right.
don't have to tear up any of the roads or
The
streets or
steam,
anything
the
like.
steam thing where you blast the balloon, it
Yes,
makes
it goes right through, and then you take a little, they take a little,
auger.
saw, and they cut out the holes where there's hookups at
Okay,
and all that stuff.
right.
I mean, saves a lot of time. I didn't know, where is the sewer line run? Is it down Main Street?
This is out here in front of the building. This South Seaton part is right out here.
So it goes from, the school entrance all the way up to,
I believe that's the section they're speaking of. I don't have the exact area. I don't have the maps with me.
is that in the main road?
I don't know.
I can't remember the manholes right, but
Yeah, they're right down the center of the.
it seems like that would cost
I mean,
a
those
lot
size
more than-
projects, we have to bring back to the board to approve anyway. I mean, because they are over the $20,000. Those projects we will bring back, and at that point, I will have the maps and all the particular information for you.
It seems like it's under, seems like it would cost a lot more than 63,000 to put all that in there.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll
That's
give
just
you
what staff
example.
has estimated.
I put in 100 feet today, and it's 25,000 per 100 feet of water line. That was just water line. It's 12-inch water line. For everything, that's a total what you get paid for putting it in the ground. And 63 seems low. I just want to,
That's just an estimate.
yeah,
It's about $40 to $45 a foot.
it's more than that. I'm telling you
That's
that
what
much.
I'm wondering, yeah.
Because
So,
if it's in the street, you gotta take the blacktop
Right.
out and everything.
Correct.
Right. It obviously will bring it back to you at that time.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing that we're going to have to do fairly soon, if not this fiscal year, very next fiscal year, is your backwash reservoir at the water plant is almost to capacity. It's going to need to be pumped out. And that's estimated to be about 20,000. This line item we put in before we found a grant that we're getting ready to submit for to repair and rebuild a seal pump at the pump station. It's estimated at 10,000. We actually are working on a energy grant or replace all the equipment at the pump station with energy efficiency through MDE, and that has to be submitted by the end of the month. May 31st. And if we get that grant, then we'll take this line item out that we want to do. a new shed at the wastewater treatment plant for storage and storage to protect the vehicles and equipment so that we don't have to replace our equipment as frequently, because right now, the majority of the equipment and vehicles that are related to the wastewater treatment plant are left sitting outside. Replace the wastewater treatment lab roof. That is a priority for this year. That roof is 35 years old and it is starting to leak. And then the other item would be to replace the garage roof, a separate garage roof at the wastewater treatment plant. So those are some infrastructure projects we're looking to do to maintain our system and repair the system.
And they're a part of the budget now?
They are not. These are items that would come out of your water, sewer, your business account.
For these type of items under water and sewer, the main consideration would be the cash you'd have to pay for each of the projects. Each item that's listed here for water and sewer, they would be put on the balance sheet as an asset and depreciate over its useful life. So, like I said, the main consideration would be the cash needed to purchase the items.
This is just to give you an idea of some of the infrastructures projects related to water and sewer that need to be done to keep your system up and running. Particularly, your backwash, your
This
pump
is just for
station.
this year?
Some of them are a 3-year plan.
So we'll be putting 20,000 in for 3 years?
No, some of them are 3-year plans. On the first page, there was couple 3-year ones. The backwash reservoir can be done either late this fiscal year, which would be my priority to see where we are funding wise, or it's going to have to be done next fiscal year because it is almost to capacity. But your 3-year plan, or your 2-year plan for the mountain water line and the 3-year plan for the riprap Rainbow Lake, we could even break the sewer line repair out to a 2-year plan if we chose to only do 1 line or 2 lines. But this is just to give you an idea. It's not set in stone, but those larger items we will certainly bring back to the board.
Now we're at the other budget items. It's just a couple things. One's the electric that we were talking about throughout the different departments. This is a comparison of the electric budget for fiscal year 2017 as compared to fiscal year 2018. If you look at the last column where it has the total, last year's total electric budget was $167,498. This year we have that slightly lower at $165,700. And if you look at all the columns before the total, you can see in buildings, in streets, parks, water, there's increases or slight increases in each of those departments. But in sewer, you see the main difference where last year we had 98,784 and this year we only have 76,000. So we just wanted to point this out to show you, mainly show you that the budget for this coming fiscal years is slightly lower than fiscal year 17. We have a couple months ago here in fiscal year 2017, but we anticipate the actual expense for electric to be right about where we had budgeted at around 167,000.
Can
So
I ask a question?
Sure, please.
go ahead.
Why is that street lights? Why is that so 61,000?
That's based on when we
Adding the poles and new lights and stuff?
No, what we do when we get a UGI bill for the kilowatts, we do an allocation based on the past probably 3 or 4 years history as far as allocating to the different departments. And this is just the great majority of the expense within the electric budget are the UGI bills, and this is just purely based on the allocation we do at the time. So like I said, you'll see certain there's it's an allocation done for the electric mostly.
The expenses aren't changing, they're just being put in
Different-
budgets more accurately of where they should be,
Different buckets.
right?
Yeah. And the thing to emphasize here is that it's slightly less than last year across the board. So.
Okay, where do we get the loss that the mayor was saying that we have?
What loss?
The one, the
The-
1,300 a month?
That's not, I apologize, that's not, it's not accurate. These are the numbers that are associated with your solar and your electric.
Oh, okay.
So basically, as I explained to Commissioner Buckman, yes, we buy solar at a higher rate than what we sell it back. But what we pay on our PE bills, because of the reduced line items, the line charges, the reduced number of kilowatt hours, you combine your UGI bills, you combine your PE bills, and that is your overall electric budget, and that's how we come up with the allocations.
Oh, okay.
So, the $1,300 a month, once we've sat down and looked at everything, it's not accurate.
Okay.
So.
Does that make sense?
So we're not actually using that much money.
Well, if you look at your budget, you're not losing any money.
No, it's almost broken out even, yes.
Right.
I understand. It was confusing, that's why I asked, because I didn't understand it the
So,
first
so
time.
this is confusing. It is a confusing topic.
Oranges, but
And then,
I understand now, yeah.
yeah.
this is the overall budget. for
Yeah.
Correct.
Electricity, as opposed to the specific question you were asking about is related to the solar field.
Oh, okay.
So in the big picture, we're doing okay. In the specific picture related to the solar field, we are not losing $1,300 a month there, or?
You can't really separate it out because it is
Okay.
actually,
It's-
it's all considered your electric budget.
Okay,
All those factors that you look at
all the variables.
are all
Right.
part of this electric budget.
Okay.
There's, there's
Just
So-
like your contractual, there's 5 different things that go into that. Your electric budget is a combination of your UGI solar expense and your PE expense.
So were we buying electricity without having a solar field, we would be paying more money, is that correct?
But that's what we've projected based off
Okay.
the inflation, your kilowatt per hours,
Okay.
and all your line items that you would be paying again.
And we're a business, not a residential.
Correct. We
Right,
pay
right.
commercial rate, not residential rate.
rate, right.
Residential rates have been going down, your commercial rates have not.
What was our bill in 2010 again?
I don't have that with me.
It was 170.
It was probably, I would believe it was about 170,000. Before you went to LEDs, it was about 171,000. So if you look at that compared to what we're paying now, we are saving money.
Are there,
6 years later.
are there additional plans, I mean, do we have any other project proposals related to reducing electrical use?
I've researched a couple of things. I looked into joining the Frederick County Co-op. We're not eligible for that. They said to check back in 6 months. We're constantly looking for
Great.
things.
Okay.
Ms. Shaw is always looking at grants.
We had a system before Dave left that we bought to help bring the electric costs down.
Right,
too.
sort of the electrical filter, like it, not, for lack
Well,
of a
the
better
next
term,
slide,
it's
if
like
you
a
want to wait till Power Star.
Okay.
If you look at our next
Power
slide.
Star, there's a name.
Here's Power Star.
Skynet,
There you go.
And have they run our article in the
Skynet
paper
becomes
yet?
aware.
Okay. We actually submitted an article, Ms. Shaw did, to the Frederick News Post outlining Power Star. So as you know, Power Star was installed at the pump station, and it went online in September of 2016. And so we have 6 months of data. And the 6 month of data between comparing the bills of similar months from prior to the installation and with installation. Right now, we're at a savings of 56,000, I wish, 56%, or we've saved $2,187.42 since installation, and that's in 6 months. So little things like that.
oh God, I'm sorry.
I'm hurrying.
No, that's fine.
We're good.
So those are the things we're looking for. You know, we're always looking for new ideas. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay.
And this is where I'm
Are
going
you
to
sure you're done?
I'm done.
Okay. Sorry.
It's nice to see that it's working.
It is working. It is working.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And then I know one of the things we looked at through the budget, I guess it was last year, our insurance rates doubled last year. So, I'd like to throw kudos to Miss Terry Ray. I assigned her the task of creating an RFP and asking for bids for our insurance rates for, property, general liability, and auto. And it was a painstaking process. And due to her efforts, we were able to reduce our overall insurance costs in property, general liability, and auto by 29%.
Great.
Nice.
And those are things we are going to continue to look at where we can. One thing we are going to look at is the health insurance. We should, looking at those rates, we're going to continue to look where we can.
Kathy, do we have a safety plan for our employees?
What do you mean?
I know our company, we have a safety. I fill out a safety report every week. That has to be turned in. We just got a safety award. Our insurance has been going down for our company every year. We get the safety awards and stuff because we have, you have your safety meetings and you have
Right.
your safety reports and
We
your-
meet yearly with our workman's comp company, and they review everything. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cole, but our workman's comp's been either steady or gone down.
It's been steady, yeah,
Steady.
certainly. And that's based on, the, workman's comp's based on employee.
Maybe we get Ms. Ray to contact Mr. Sweeney to find out who their carrier is and,
Well, I don't know if you
Yeah.
could look at maybe a
Municipalities.
some kind of safety plan. I don't know what it is, but I'll find out for you.
Yeah, please share. We're always looking
Because
for.
I know it has our insurance go way down because we hear it all the time.
Okay,
Okay.
that'd be good.
culture message. It's a good
Yes.
We have a safety man who comes out every 2 weeks to check all the job sites and everything that we pay. It's
Right.
not an exact, that we pay contract through.
And this is the last slide of the night. Discussion or questions?
Ms. Buckman, anything?
No, I asked all my
Okay.
questions.
Mr. Sweeney?
I asked all mine too.
Okay, I only have one at this point in time. Turning to page 27, I'm looking at the bottom of the page there, the list 5505, contractual. There was a significant decrease in cost with our contractual expenses related to sewer fee, to the sewer department.
Let me get that.
And I did not hear the cause to that
I'll
reduction.
get it. Where am I at?
That's okay, I'm
What I
okay
can
with,
tell you is that, we had a reduction, that reduction would have been, for the monitoring of one of the, part of the lab fee was significantly reduced because we are no longer having monitoring of, one of the, I believe it's, one of the areas up near the lake.
okay,
And I will get exact information for you, but that's where the
Sure, okay.
reduction came from,
great,
that we
Okay.
no longer need to have that monitoring.
Okay.
And we released that by MDE, we got a letter on it.
great. Okay, so if,
And that also, the reduction for contractual, you also gotta remember, that's part of not having your temp and not having your
Okay.
consultant that, Mr. Haller,
okay, all right, I got you.
that was budgeted for last year.
Okay, so, very good. I didn't connect the dots there on that, I'm sorry on that one. Okay, very good. So, moving forward, we will look at the budget in our June meeting as our first agenda item.
Go ahead. If you
Can
do
I-
have any, such as, recommended changes in line items, if it's possible to at least email Mr. Tabler or myself so that we can be prepared for that during the meeting.
Traditionally, during that meeting, there's a vote on the budget.
Yes.
If you have any additional questions between now and that budget meeting, please ask ahead of time so that we can get the information, either, get the information to you and to have it ready to be presented next budget meeting, so there's no additional questions that haven't been answered, hopefully, by then. And we'll get that information as soon as we can.
And for the sake of open meetings, just, and you're next, I
fine.
promise. The sake of open meetings, if we have if we have that question or we have that discussion item, that discussion thing with the staff, it really does need to be between the commissioner and the staff, as opposed to all commissioners first and staff, so it's not 3 people or 4 people or
Right.
5 people talking behind closed doors, right? We do not want it to be a meeting. However,
Right.
when town staff replies,
It's to all.
it is sent to all commissioners. And again, if a commissioner receives something that, like, if I send a question and say, give me answer is provided, answer A, everyone gets answer A, and the commentary is to staff.
Right.
We haven't had a problem with that before, but I just want to make sure that we don't have a future problem.
You don't reply
So-
all. So if you
Correct.
get something from me or Mr. Tabler to all of you, don't reply all with
Correct.
discussion. Just send it back to myself or Mr. Tabler.
It always goes to one from staff, and then let staff take care of dissemination.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Mr. Sweeney, thank you for being patient.
Mine's
What's
up for budget. I wasn't here at the beginning, so I didn't get to ask the question, but how is the lake and the wells doing since we had all this rain?
The lake is at spillway or above spillway. I don't have the new numbers on the well, but at the last check, the wells were slowly coming back or steadily coming back, and they're stable. So we recommended the Phase 1 water restriction be lifted, and the board graciously voted to do that. Yeah, I'm never giving you a pen again.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. We move on. Does that answer your questions for
Yes,
that
I
one?
wasn't here for
Okay.
that one,
Sure,
so I
sure.
wanted to hear.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, so, turning our attention to the June, sorry, I need to get the
Fifth.
date in front of me. Thank you, the June 5th meeting, town meeting. First agenda item will be budget.
Budget for consideration?
Okay, for consideration, absolutely. Do we anticipate hearing from the auditor at that
Mills?
time?
I will check with her.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's a value-adding item to our discussion regarding the budget? Or is it just, is that a
It's not
separate item?
necessary for the budget.
Okay, all right, so. I don't know
I
if-
may put it on an admin business, and if I do,
Okay.
I will let everybody know.
Terrific, okay, that seems reasonable. Anybody else have any other agenda items? I thought we had a few from last time around that were of pressing matter. No, not at this time? No dog
don't
park
have
items?
anything.
No, okay. All right, so this will be our agenda item for that meeting. Okay. Should we hear otherwise from town staff? I'll ask town staff to advise the board, but I don't think we're gonna need to change that, but we'll leave it open just in case. I thought we had something else, and for the life of me, I can't recall, so. All right, moving forward.
You do have, when you adopt your budget, you also have to adopt your
Tax rate.
salary chart by ordinance.
Yeah.
Right,
Two separate
okay.
things.
So, I guess second item would be the agenda. Sorry, the second agenda item would be salary chart adoption,
Yes,
okay, pending budget.
right. You can just do it, and we'll give it an ordinance number, ordinance to be, salary chart adoption for consideration, and if you don't get to it, then you don't get to it.
Okay, great. Anybody else have any other agenda items for this meeting? No? Okay. I would like to bring back a trail item related to our acceptance of the Trail Conservancy Recreational Trail Program grant. There might be a wrinkle there in that the Trail Conservancy might not be able to meet its obligation due to other issues on its end. So, what I might ask the board to do, potentially, is to send an addendum to the DNR, State Highway, who manages the RTP, to say that we are now declining the offer from Trail Conservancy. And I'll provide information at that time. But that would be an action item, so that would have to be something for consideration. So,
I do have one more question.
sure.
When you just said state highway. When the state was here in one of our meetings, they said we were getting our state highway fees back or upped.
Cole,
Do you
got
know if
those
that's coming
numbers?
this year? Is that part
Yeah.
of our
The
budget?
Yes.
That's listed under the general fund revenue, and it's Let's see.
I didn't know if, I was probably in the beginning when I wasn't here.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, and I knew that we
There's-
had them taken away and they was gonna give some back, and I wondered.
there's a
how
one
much they
time
gave back. I just need to know how much.
there's a one-time grant that they're going to have next fiscal year that's in the budget.
Right here, you've got your state, we're estimating per the MML notice, your state highway use tax is 25,886, and then there's a one-time grant of 71,187.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And those are both per MML.
I just remember them saying that. I didn't know if that was part of the budget, and that's why I'm wrong though.
Okay, anybody else with an agenda item to move it on? Mr. Sweeney, are you good? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I don't mean to be crass.
With me, I got too many meetings at one time.
Okay, so then, is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Very good. Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second that.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Blanchard. It's been seconded by Commissioner Buckman. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries 4-0 with Commissioners Blanchard, Buckman, Sweeney, and O'Donnell present, with Commissioner Ritz absent at this time. Okay. Staff, anything else we need to be advised about related to the next meeting?
No.
No? Okay, so we have no consent agenda items, and I think we can move to close the meeting unless anyone has any final comments.
I make a motion to close the meeting?
Is there a second for the motion?
Second motion.
Any further discussion? No clicky pens for the mayor? All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion carries 4-0.